Yeah, buddy.
Yeah.
Getting out there, man. I like the thought of Ho Dom just hitting the streets.
Oh, Ho Dom has been hitting the streets. I'm hitting that pavement.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Dingers.
Dingers, man. That's all I'm looking for. You know, if it's a solo shot, that's all right. If not, that's all right too. Hey, everybody. We're back at the Sports Experience Podcast. I'm Chris Quinn. Got my friend here, Dom DiTolla, and we're just a couple of comics talking sports. What are we talking about today?
We're doing our Fans Behaving Badly segment today.
That's right.
Installment number 2, I believe.
Number 2.
And we're on the baseball diamond for this one. And it's, God, I wish I was at this game. Oh, sweet Jesus. I would have been just a pig in shit.
Well, I mean, I think a lot of people, not even just baseball fans, saw this as the place to be. Let's just put it like that.
It's like Cheers, only the police and both teams know your name while violence occurs.
Maybe a lack of police was part of the problem on this, but we'll get into it. We're talking about 10-cent beer night, the Indians versus the Rangers.
June 4th, 1974.
Yeah.
And Cleveland Municipal Stadium.
Yes. And just because everything has a little bit of a backstory. My first little backstory on it was they actually did this.
Yeah.
And they actually had it as a nickel beer night, and it was in 71, I believe, and it went off without a hitch.
That's what I found so strange.
Yeah.
It's like, and we get into this game, I think it's not necessarily the beer that causes all of this. It's the two teams playing each other. It's just the environment.
Billy Martin.
Yeah. But like 5-cent beer night. Can you imagine that?
Oh my God. Well, and this was the other thing that I want to put in perspective, because I remember seeing this. I'm like, Jesus, beer's $16 but in this time it was 65 cents. And they reduced it to 10 cents, which made it quite the deal. But I mean,
it's like when you talk to an old person. In my day, beer was 65 cents.
Exactly.
And you could punch a hooker for an extra nickel.
And that was just the way it was back in those days. All right, so that was my little what happened before. But what really fueled this fire was when these two teams met, I believe, 6 days prior.
Yeah, it was a week earlier in Arlington at the Rangers Stadium. And during the game, you had Tom Grieve on second base. I believe it's the bottom of the 4th. And Lenny Randall on first. We should do an episode on Lenny Randall. I don't know if you know anything about that guy, but he has lived an amazingly crazy life.
Yep. It's just one of those that you'll see down the road. That's all I got to say.
Just a cheeky and fun way, not like a negative way.
Yeah.
But so Tom Grieve, or I believe, what's his name? No, Grieve was on second base. A double play ball was hit to John Lowenstein, the Indians' third baseman, and he tosses it to second base, and Randall comes in with kind of a high slide.
Well, a slide to break up the throw, which back in these days was a lot harsher than it is now. Let me just say that.
Yeah, so he slides into the second baseman. The Indians take exception to it, and we all know baseball and their unwritten rules. And you pull something like that, you're probably going to get plunked, or someone's going to try and punk you later.
I was going to say, it boils over innings down the road, because you see the pitchers almost always take back the revenge, and then the pitchers are pitching inside, and he pretty much throws at his ankles, correct? Is that where it went?
Well, in the bottom of the 8th, Randall comes up to bat.
Yeah.
And Milt Wilcox, Unique New York, the Indians' relief pitcher, tries to hit him. Nothing like, beat him in the head or anything, but you're going to get hit.
Yep.
He misses, but Randall later in the at-bat lays down a bunt, and Wilcox fields the ball, and he tags him pretty goddamn hard.
Well, he tags him with the ball and a forearm shiver.
Exactly.
So, I mean, he's in there. He gives him the stiff arm, and that's when bench is clear.
And John Ellis, the Indians' first baseman, just decks Lenny Randall.
Yeah.
And both benches clear. And it turns into a little melee. And
this is back when it was a real melee. It wasn't like when they would run out and they would just kind of push each other and be like, hey. This was like they were running out swinging, and there were some real fights happening.
Yeah, and the fans in Arlington were, instigating a lot of shit with the Indians players. Like Dave Duncan, the Indians catcher, almost tried to go into the stands.
Well, this is what was said, was once it all got broken up, the Indians were heading back to to their side, and they just get
Dugout.
They just get a barrage of hot dogs and beer thrown at them.
Never change, Texas.
Thank you. And that's why the catcher was just like, dude, I was going to go beat the shit out of these people because they were just throwing stuff at him. And then this leads into, and we might not do, and this is what I was thinking, we might not do a Billy Martin episode.
Oh, God, I love
But
Billy
we
Martin.
might do a Billy Martin quotes episode.
Oh, dude.
Because there isn't a better man for that.
One thing I wanted to add, though, about what took place, the Rangers win this game 3-0. And one thing I wanted to bring up, in 1974, Billy Martin was like a fixer of franchises.
Yeah.
He fixed the Twins previously. He fixed the Tigers. Now he's with the Rangers. This was a year, because Texas has been dog shit ever since they moved from Washington leading up to this point. Billy Martin had them finish in second in the AL West in 1974. I think he was manager of the year. They only finished behind the team that three-peated that year with the World Series in the Oakland A's. So I want to just put it out there. Texas is a real good team trying to be in the thick of a pennant race. And the Indians, obviously, at this time are like Randy Newman style fucking major league, like burn on West City, burn on.
Oh, I feel like this is why Billy Martin kind of gets away with all these ridiculous quotes and why he has so many, because he literally was a great manager on top of being the funniest man in baseball
brilliant.
for like 3 decades.
And you know what's funny? No one was ejected.
No,
not one player.
That was the other thing I loved. Nobody was ejected. There was no punishment post. It was pretty good. So the sports writer asked Billy.
Give us the quote, please.
His sports writer asked Billy, "Are you going to go to Cleveland? Are you going to bring armor?" Billy's response was,
Classic.
"Nah, they don't have enough fans to worry about." Which you wouldn't get that now, and if you did, you would get the next day, "We are so sorry on behalf of the Rangers. We didn't mean that to the Indians." And that's why it was so good, because everybody knew it was just like, yeah, that's what Billy Martin said.
But you know what's fucking hilarious? Not one part of that quote was a lie. Like,
No.
I saw Arsenio Hall. I guess he grew up in Cleveland. He was talking about going to Indians games. Him and his friends were able to count the fans all in the stands.
Yeah.
And like just mess with all the seats. It's just because nobody's there, because the team is just a fucking tire fire.
So this is why I feel like the Indians had this thought of, now we need to make this 10-cent beer night, because Billy Martin said this. There's almost this rivalry brewing. There's this like almost like pride at stake.
And Cleveland took exception to this, because leading up to the game, the newspaper, the Cleveland Plain Dealer, they had, the Chief Wahoo face, which obviously isn't PC anymore, and it just said, "Be ready for anything,"
With boxing gloves.
Yeah, which is like, okay, you have a 10-cent beer night coming up, which in retrospect, probably not the greatest of ideas, but now you've fomented this environment that's coming up where both teams hate each other.
You're stoking this fire.
Yeah, you're just like, you know what? Let's put a little more gasoline on this dumpster fire.
Yeah.
Like unnecessarily, whatever, but I'm not going to blame the booze for a chunk of this.
Well, that's what some people were saying, was a lot of it had to do with booze because it pushed people over the edge. But there was like this atmosphere going into this game of hostility.
And so if you're not there to get schnockered, or you're not there to be like, hey, let's have a family night at the ballpark, and go out, you're there to watch a fucking bloodbath between two teams.
Well, and this was the other thing that people were saying, was it turned out to be cheaper than the bar.
Exactly.
So you had a bunch of people that weren't necessarily into baseball that were just showing up literally for the beer, because I think it was 50 cents to get into the game.
Yeah.
And then it was unlimited beer. This was the other thing, was you could get 6 beers. You're probably thinking the whole night.
Nope. Only 6 in a trip, and unlimited trips, which is like my fucking wet dream scenario.
And so people were just stacking up 6 beers, tanking them, and then getting back into line.
I remember as a kid, I used to, there was one year, I put on like 5 different Halloween costumes and went from fucking house to house. I would do the exact same thing in that stadium, just different costumes.
Yep.
But by the end, I probably wouldn't even be able to put a costume on.
You wouldn't need it, man. They were just giving out beer. You just had to have the 10 cents.
I'd be sitting there with my dick out at the hot dog stand, like, where the fuck am I right now?
All right, that was a little interruption. We're not going to be too worried about it.
No.
We're kicking right back in.
But yeah, going into it, like you said, the unlimited trips, and I wanted to bring up the attendance for this game.
Yeah,
because
that was what I wanted to get
drawing
into.
Dick at this point because you had mentioned it's cheaper than the bar. You know, they're drawing probably like 4,000 people a night. They're Arsenio Halling it, counting people all in the crowd. They drew over 25,000 that night.
So what they said they were expecting was twice their normal. So they were expecting somewhere between 10 to 12. What they got was 25,000, and what the security they had hired was 50.
Unless
so
you have,
it's foreshadowing, man.
It's foreshadowing, and unless you have Swayze from Roadhouse, things are going to get out of hand.
Things are just going to get out of hand. You
need
don't
a cooler,
have Swayze.
Man.
Yeah,
you can't roundhouse your way to the top.
So let's get into the game because I feel like we're preempting this. We got the beer. It's 3.2 alcohol, so they were thinking people weren't going to get too smashed.
But
ass. People were
sounds like a challenge.
Tanking beers. So
the Rangers go ahead early.
Right off the bat.
Like I said, I brought up before, and it's very important. The 74 Rangers were a very good baseball team. So they go up 5-1 early in the game.
More fuel on this fire.
Yeah. And the fans are already pissed, and they're already starting to get hammered.
And already starting to get out of control. So, and this was the feeling that people said that they were there in the first like 5 innings. It was all cheeky shenanigans.
Yeah,
not
evil shenanigans.
Exactly. So inning 2, this is how it was described, which is why I love it. This overweight middle-aged woman ran out, flashed her huge tits, and then tried to kiss the umpire, and the umpire was like, "No."
That was like my wheelhouse.
I was gonna say that's
middle-aged, big tits, on.
Oh man, Dom would have hit a dinger that night.
I would have been like, calling the game right now. I'm dressed like the Michelin Man, ready to get my fuck on.
And then when Grieve hit his second home run,
a
naked man ran onto the field and slid into the second base.
Which
so
is
I'm just
awesome.
saying, he was naked sliding into second base
too. If
oh man,
it hurts to slide in baseball pants.
Yeah,
if I had done that, I probably would have slid open my goddamn scrotum.
That's what I mean, and that's what somebody said was just like, first off, he slid. Second off, he was okay afterwards, and you're like, that's skill.
They made people differently back in the 70s. I guess.
Fucking A, brother.
But they're angry, and LaRon Lee for the Indians, he hits a ball, like a comebacker off of Hall of Fame pitcher, whose autograph I have, and I met at an All-Star Fan Fest, Fergie Jenkins. He hit the ball off of him, and all the fans are really getting into it, like, hit it harder, hit it harder.
Well, he hit him right in the stomach.
Yeah.
So, like, he hit it right back up to the pitcher, and the fans started to go crazy, and then people were saying that was when, like, attitude started to change, and you're like, oh shit, this isn't as fun. Father-son duo ran out in the crowd. I wanted to point that one out
those
too.
Are fun. It's like, okay, it's 10-cent beer night. Your team is garbage. Let's go out and have a good time. Let's be positive with our, vandalism or idiocy. We're going to see it take a turn quickly.
Well, and around the 4th or 5th inning, this is what happens. This is the lore. This is the fucking, at the beer station, they literally had 2 girls running this. One was taking the dimes. The other one was filling up the beer. And at some point, they just get overrun and they just walk away, essentially.
Those poor women.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
And they said, like, somebody, like, took a table because they weren't moving fast enough and threw it over the beer truck. And they were just like, all right, we're done. And then people were just bringing up whatever containers they could and filling it up. Some people were just coming up and just chugging it straight out of it. Like, so.
It's like Homer at Lollapalooza. My homemade Kahlua. Is it like a little satchel?
So it was getting quite out of control, and then it spills over from the beer trucks into the stadium. So
because the beer trucks are like right in the stadium,
in the outfield,
and fans can just basically camp out there and just get completely sloshed.
And this is when the firecrackers start coming out,
which this isn't cool.
Yes,
at all. This is just fucking stupid.
And this is around the 5th inning, and this is what people said is when all the families literally just like got up in the middle of the 4th and the 5th and were like, all right, we're done. That's it for us. Because at that point they were saying like it would be like 15 to 20 people running from the fucking right field to the left field field and then jumping in, and there just wasn't enough security for anything. Like not for like one of these incidents, for like any of the incidents. So it was obvious it was chaos. And then at that point, people started smoking weed openly in the stands.
Which, God bless those people. That's fine. But there's firecrackers, not cool. No, they're cool when you want to use them, but not in a random crowd.
Yes.
Weed, awesome.
Well, this is what happened was they saw security, didn't have a handle on anything, and they were like, you know what'd be cool right now? Fucking smoke a joint.
You got a joint, man. It'd be a lot cooler if you did at Municipal Stadium.
And they did, and that's why it was fucking amazing.
Municipal Stadium after dark.
So, where are we at? So we're around the 5th inning.
Yeah.
Shit's kind of getting out of control, and you could just tell. And like I said, everybody was kind of leaving that weren't necessarily drunks. The beer kind of gets out of control, and the game looks like it's going to be over because they're up 5-1 and nothing's really changed.
I would hate to be someone with PTSD in that stadium.
Oh, you
just get back from Nam and it's like, what the hell is this?
I didn't fight for this.
Look out for Charlie. He's at third base.
So what happens around the 9th inning is they start dropping cherry bombs in the Rangers bullpen.
Which, awful, but I want to bring this up because this is almost lost in the entire fucking thing. The Indians start coming back in the 7th, 8th, and 9th innings.
Yes.
They end up fucking tying this game by the bottom of the 9th.
So, yes, bottom of the 9th, it's 5-5. And that's what I mean. So, like, shit's getting out of control. Just to think, like, throwing firecrackers in the middle of a game is fucking wild. It's like some, like, European soccer shit that I'm used to. But
I've been to Gore on mushrooms and acid, and I have never experienced anything like that.
So when they start dropping it in the bullpen, it's kind of like, oh, this is like getting seriously dangerous.
Because you're fucking with the players. Like, the players aren't asking for any of this.
Yes.
Indians or Rangers. Like, that's just not fucking cool.
And then it's 5-5, and then this match runs onto the field, and why don't you give me it?
No, you do it. No, I want to hear you do it.
What's his name? Because I was trying to look.
Mike Hargrove?
Mike Hargrove.
Do you know
he was
he
18.
Oh, no, I'm talking about later. Never mind. No,
okay.
The 18-year-old.
Okay, yeah. So the 18-year-old, and I was trying to find his name because I wrote it down, but I couldn't find it. It doesn't matter. But he's just a fan, hammered, runs onto the field and tries to grab the center fielder's hat. So,
Terry Yurkic.
Yeah. And
he tries to get John Burroughs' hat. Yeah.
Okay.
In left field.
And as he's grabbing John Burroughs' hat, they kind of trip over each other.
Yeah. Like accidentally, just some drunk idiot and the player like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Yeah, like, what the fuck?
Billy Martin sees this, and to be honest, because you could see it, and if you see it, he really looks like he almost like tackles him.
Well, Billy Martin, as a player and also as a manager, was always looking for a fight, always looking for a rumble. So when you kind of missee this, you're just like, oh, it's game time.
He grabs a bat. And this is why, I mean, to be honest, if Billy Martin's your manager and like this happens and you're like, oh, no, we'll follow Billy into war. So like, I just want to say this. He grabs a bat, looks at everybody in the dugout and is just like, all right, let's go. And then they just literally take off and sprint out. Now, as this is happening, about 200 hammered fans see this and they're like, okay. And they get onto the field, and this is what I love about professional sports. So
they have chains, they have pieces of the chairs and shit. They're like armed.
Well, I'll tell you what, it's like the Warriors coming out, and they have all kinds of different just like street weapons, and they kind of surround the Rangers because the Rangers are just a bunch of ball players, and that's when the manager of the Indians,
it's like an alcohol-induced fucking West Side Story.
Yep.
Like, goddamn, dude.
And that's when the manager of the Indians
Ken Aspromonte.
Thank you. Tells his team, we need to get out there and help them.
Yeah, it's like, we hate these people, but this shit's not, no, it's not kosher. It's not cool, man.
And
like,
if you're watching our block here on fans behaving badly, it was kind of like with the Bruins and the Rangers, where the Rangers just kind of stopped like, oh shit. And
it's like you fans are on your own.
But that's the thing, is they could see the Bruins at that time had it handled. When this happened, they could see the Rangers did not have it handled. And the Indians were like, all right, we need to get the fuck out there. Even the catcher on the Indians got fucked up because it was chaos. Like, they were writing about it like it was like a literal riot at that point. So
I remember reading Mike Hargrove almost got hit in the head with a bottle for the Rangers.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know who Mike Hargrove is, but he was later the Indians manager when they had all of those awesome teams that got oh so close in the 1990s.
Yep.
Which had to be like fucking weird flashback. There's a little spider web for you, Chris.
Yeah, I knew who that was, but I was like, no, that kid wasn't named Mike Hargrove.
No,
like it was. You confused me so hard there. It was just like, no, yeah. But it was such a chaos, and it was such a chaotic event because they said it was about for like 20 minutes. So like the players all kind of got together. There was definitely a lot of guys getting fucked
Cleveland's
up.
relief pitcher, Tom Hildendorf, got hit in the head with a steel chair.
Yep.
Like, this is not WWE. These are just drunk assholes. Like, oh, God.
Yeah. And so the players get off the field.
They leave in groups. It's like protecting each other. It's just like, hey, man, I got your back. We got to get out of here.
Yeah. And then it's still rioting for like 15, 20 minutes after. So, like, just to put it in perspective, it's fucking wild out there. And they were hammered.
And the umpire chief, Nestor Chikak, or what, I can't pronounce his last name, he got hit in the head.
Yep.
It's like, man, that's what happens when you turn down free middle-aged boobies. You get hit in the head.
Well, they were saying there was like they had no idea how many injuries there were out there. Like they didn't even know how many injuries the ball players had because most of them had just like bruises from, interactions with that. And then there were supposedly a ton of fans that were leaving with just broken noses.
Oh,
so,
God.
I mean,
well, the umpire crew chief, basically, he was quoted as saying the fans were uncontrollable beasts. And I haven't seen that outside of a zoo. So like just the amount of chaos involved caused by these drunk people. And I'm surprised nobody died as far as any of the players.
Or like a serious injury.
Yeah, like a career-ending injury or something, not just like bumps and bruises and shit. And I'm not downplaying that. I'm just saying this is a fucking miracle.
Yeah. So the game gets suspended.
And it's the bottom of the ninth, and the Indians have fucking Rusty Torres on second base as the winning run.
Yeah. And it's pretty unbelievable. They make this comeback in which everybody in the stadium's hammered and they're like ready for it. And then this fucking kid really fucks it up.
Yeah, it's like, you're ruining it for the rest of us. But no, the funny thing is they forfeited the game to Texas. Yeah. They had to do it. And this 20-minute riot just completely just destroyed everything.
Yeah.
But Cleveland general manager Phil Segui said the umps were the ones who were guilty because they couldn't control it. It's like, the umps don't work security, asshole. Like,
I heard that and thought it was such a thing at the time where he was just like, man, the umps really let that game get out of control. And it was like, you think so? You think that was it?
Oh, yeah, it's the umpires. No, not your beer promotional night or your local newspaper stoking the fires or Billy Martin just being a flippant asshole. But I wanted to say this about Rusty Torres, the guy who was on second base.
Oh, yeah,
He was in Washington for the Senators' last game, which ended in a forfeit. Their last game in Washington before they moved.
Against the Yankees.
And he was also later in a game, which we'll talk about on this series, which also featured a forfeit and a wonderful riot.
The disco demolition game.
Yep.
So, yeah, that guy, he has quite the... So he played in 3 games that were forfeit. Every single team he had to forfeit.
He's a cheeky, hilarious, good bad luck charm.
Oh, I like that.
But I wanted to bring this up about Cleveland. They decide to do, later in the year, July 18th, another beer promotional night for 10 cents a cup.
Well, if you thought that this was horrible.
Yeah, there are stipulations. Yeah. You could only have 2 10-cent cups per person, and the rest are 65 cents after that, which
So it wasn't technically, but they still were. They still knew the draw of this wonderful event.
Yeah, they're trying to put up like fucking bumpers, for the bumper bowling. Like, well, maybe we won't have a riot tonight, or maybe we'll just have the cheeky and fun shenanigans.
Well, this is right before Jake Taylor shows up. Check out our Jake Taylor.
Yeah, Jake Taylor showed up and really turned that franchise around.
So, I mean, I'm just saying they were struggling at this point. So it was really a good promotional. I mean, we're still talking about it.
There was a great quote by the late Tim Russert. He was that news guy. He was going to law school at the time in Cleveland. And I think he said something to the extent of like, I went there with $2 in my pocket. You do the math.
Yep.
Like,
that's, I mean, you're loaded at that point. And that was the other thing was around 6th, whenever it was like, we stopped paying for the beer. That's what they said. They were just like, we're filling up everything. And obviously that spilled over into the fans or into the crowd.
It'd be hilarious. The beer company's like, our beer's so great. Just look at this game.
Oh my God. What a great promotional thing.
Marketing writes itself if you're being an asshole. Like,
yeah.
God damn. But yeah, 10-cent beer night, that fans behaving badly.
Awesome.